sir. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the Cybersecurity and Online Safety webinar organized by Mohanji Youth Club. Before we start, I would like to invite Commodore Jayaraj to share a few words.
Thank you, Monish. Firstly, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Greetings to all of you. And depending upon your time zone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And I thought before we before the chief host formally introduces our guest of today, I'll just have a few words because I know our guest of today since my teenage, and he has been a great source of inspiration for me, especially when we were in school and he had joined the National Defense Academy, and I too was very keen to join that. And he was a silent source of inspiration. Though I don't think I had met him before joining the NDA, but he was there already. And it was, I think, perhaps that what inspired me and to join the armed forces and wear the uniform. So it was a very nice interaction I had with him even at the NDA. Now, as we get along this session of ours of today for 1 hour, we will really realize that. He's our scholar warrior guest of today. I would call him as a scholar warrior. He's a warrior because he was in the army and he's a scholar, and he's a very brilliant scholar at that, and of national repute. And despite all that, you will realize that he is a very humble, gentle, and an unassuming person, very down to earth. So thank you very much, sir, for accepting, Colonel Madhadas, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our request. You did not even ask twice. It was just you immediately accepted our request. Despite I know your hectic schedule, your days are going even more hectic after you retired. And so thank you so much from all of us. And without further ado, I would hand you all over to our chief guest for the formal proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jayaraj, sir. Thank you so much, KPM Das, sir. So, before we dive into this very important and timely topic, allow me to take a moment to introduce Mohanji Youth Club. Mohanji Youth Club is a social responsibility club with members aged 15 to 30 years spread across 18 countries in 4 continents. We are a community grounded in the core values of authenticity, stability, and selflessness. And we stand firmly on the pillars of self acceptance and selfless service. One of our key initiatives is MYC Crisis Management, a program designed to train youth and the wider community to be prepared, aware, and stable in the face of any crisis. Today's session is a natural extension of that mission because in today's world, cybersecurity is very much a crisis we all must be ready for. And to help us understand and navigate this digital landscape, we are truly honored to have with us an extraordinary guest this evening, a soldier and technologist with 25 years in the Indian Army and over 20 years in global IT leadership. Our speaker is a graduate of National Defense Academy and a Defense Services Staff College and holds a postgraduate degree in computer sciences from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He commanded Bison signals during Operation Parakram and led the development of Sathi, an innovative mobile platform built for infantry soldiers engaged in counterterrorism operations. He was recognized as a young outstanding scholar by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in 1987. He went on to serve as Chief of Global Operations at Mindtree and as the National Cybersecurity and Trust Adviser at Cisco across Asia Pacific and Japan. Today, he continues to shape the future of digital landscape as an entrepreneur, driving true cybersecurity startups. So please join me in warmly welcoming our distinguished speaker for this evening, Colonel KPM Das. Colonel Das, we are truly privileged and honored to have you with us today. I'd hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you so much for your kind words. We are today at a time and place where what took a century for change at one time is today happening in days, weeks, and months. Uh, if I were to have this session maybe a month from now, it would be a lot different. That is the pace of change inside. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. Give me a moment. I'm assuming you can see my screen.
Yes,
We
sir.
can see.
Yes, sir, we
Okay.
can.
Okay, sure. So this is itself a very tall title, protecting yourself from digital threats, right? Because we, after years of digitization, and from the time that internet was born in the middle 80s, it's only now we realize that there's nothing called absolute security. So anyone who tells you that I'm absolutely secure or you are absolutely secure is incorrect. Security is a desired state, end state, and there are a few things that you can do to keep yourself secure. Cybersecurity has got many facets. The government needs to be secure. The society needs to be secure. The businesses need to be secure. And most important, the individual needs to be secure, right? Which is why you have terms like G2C, which is called government to citizen. Then you have G2B, which is government to business. Then you have B2C, which is business to citizen. These are all applications that we are using every day on our laptops and our mobile phones. So if I can ask all of you, uh, if you or someone you know, your family or friend has received a suspicious call, uh, even if it is not serious, please raise your hands. Yeah, I can see a few. Uh, so you can be sure that as we speak, all of us today on the call are victims of cybercrime in some form. Most of that doesn't succeed, thankfully. But even if a small percentage of that succeeds, it damages the individual, damages the larger social structure, hurts the credibility of the government and of the businesses. So what we'll do over the next about 45 to 50 minutes is to go over some of these. And I'm quite sure that some of you who are very digital, and I understand your age group is, it's a very young demographic. You would understand it a lot more. So this presentation was actually made for an elder audience. So please bear with me if some of it is, has things which you already know. So Reserve Bank of India has published something called Raju and 40 Thieves. Okay. This is something like the Alibaba and 40 Thieves that we learned in school. You remember there used to be a story like that. Khulja Simpson kind of a thing. Yeah. So RBI has made a beautiful cartoon, and the link is there at the end of this. You can go Google it and get it. But I like to read that because it talks of 40 stories in which people were fooled, into parting away with their money or their property or something that they're very, very dear to them, right? So here is just one of them. I just wanted to say that book of cartoons looks like this, right? So somebody gives you a bait, and the biggest bait these days is KYC, because you don't want to lose your bank account or your mutual fund account or access to anything just because KYC is not done. So the natural instinct is to rush and provide information. Sometimes it happens that you don't check the authenticity from where the messages come, right? And therefore, you go ahead and update the details. And what is even more, you get a call and someone asks you for your username, password, and or OTP, whatever, one of these. And once you do that, you have virtually opened a back door to your phone, fundamentally. Okay. And given how we are, life is so busy that you don't want to make it more complicated. There are people who carry around their entire life's history, including financial history, and passwords, and usernames, and photographs. And photograph would say Amma, or it would say Appa, etc., which clearly indicates to a malicious actor that that person is, part of the family. So we now come down to a term called trust, right? Now, trust is something that we used to give away very easily at one point of time. Imagine, I don't know, you may not know, but in our time, it was very common that when you get onto a train, families would travel together. Within minutes, you become friends. You offer food to each other. You share food. You didn't have to know telephone numbers because hardly anybody had a telephone. But that was a very high degree of trust. That was the kind of India that we are talking about, the world that we are talking about. And it's completely changed today because someone like, an innocent person like Raju, in this case, has parted away with information. Information today has become an asset like gold, silver, your house, your car, your people, relationship. And that is something which has now gradually become a very harsh truth. So this is that RBA cartoon book. I would encourage you to go through those. Take your time. Each one is an interesting story, but they are fairly interesting in how malicious actors, fraudsters, make use of your vulnerabilities. And strangely, this not only happens to ordinary people, it happens to people who are. It has happened to a Director General of Police. Can you believe it? It's happened to the Chief Information Security Officer of India's largest bank. Because in our daily lives, we are so busy and you're doing a million tasks. We are all multitaskers today that you don't spend time diligently to look at the authenticity of the sources of messages and calls that come to you. So the basics are, let me just put this here, and you must be already familiar. I'll pull up all of them together to save time. So, there are three major vehicles through which information travels. On the left, there's a rectangle which is the phone. It depicts your phone. To the right, on the top right, you find a blue, something looking like a cloud. That is what we call the cloud. So Amazon has a cloud, Microsoft has a cloud. Your banks have put things in the cloud, even if they don't have a cloud. ICICI Bank doesn't have a cloud of its own, but it uses one of these three big clouds. And they are called, they're probably bigger than some countries. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, right? We trust them with everything to the extent that you go and put information in the cloud. Why did we do this? Because at some point of time, people felt it was cheaper to do that. Yeah. You didn't have to keep everything inside the enterprise. So you said, here's a beautiful model where you can go put everything in a place called the cloud, where someone else manages it for you, and you don't have to keep large IT teams to look after things, right? So if you look at it closely, and let me come to the phone first. This is your dearest asset. I know people who carry their phone even into their restrooms in the morning when they get up, right? It is your dearest asset, right? As a child, you're worried your mother may call you, or the mother is worried the child may call you. You don't want to be seen wanting. I know people who pick up the phone in the first ring. Yeah. So what is inside a phone are a bunch of things which are very, very vulnerable today. Yeah. Firstly, it is hardware, right? But remember, when you switch it on, don't you see things coming to life? How do they come to life? It comes to life because that hardware has got some software. And that some of that software is inside chips inside the phone. And they were made when the phone was made. You can't even do anything about it. You, as a user, you can do nothing about it. Then you have the operating system, which is actually the heart of the computer. And then you have two major components. This is the one with which you work day in and day out. You have apps, which are called applications. You want to reserve a ticket in the train, you want to buy a flight ticket, you want to check what is the balance in your account. I know people who take advice from a million applications. In fact, it's gone to the extent today that people even have doctors, who are in the form of an application. Can an application work by itself? It cannot. So what does it do? It talks to data. So there's an interchange of data between apps and the data store itself. And people who get very used and very dependent on the phone start putting everything on the phone. Their bank details, their personal details, their relationships. I also know people who save chats. You have a chat with a friend, you save it there. And remember, if this is compromised, everything is compromised, right? Does a phone work by itself? No. It requires a camera, which is always on. A lot of you think it is not on, but it's on all the time. Then you got the mic. It's listening in. And very often it is so sensitive that it captures a whole lot of conversations in the house. It knows where you are. It has all your contacts. And you have something called a Wi-Fi, which is the easiest way and the most robust way to connect to a network. And then you have power. I also know people who use their phones. They charge them in the airport or in the railway station, hoping that it gets charged before you get into the train or the aircraft. But what is also happening there is, along with giving you power, it is taking the juice out of your phone. And that juice is the data, right? So when we talk about the network connects your phone to the cloud. When you talk about the network, it is everything that starts from your Wi-Fi, goes to a little box called a router in your house or the office, which connects further to a bigger box, and so on and so forth. So we are talking about a completely interconnected world where even your household appliances, you'll find to the bottom right of the slide, your microwave, your fridge, everything that is newly being made is having an internet interface. And they're vulnerable. So if you are a very digitally active person, it doesn't take very long to, make a persona about yourself. People can figure out who you are, what you do, how you live, etc. Yeah. So this is the biggest vulnerability today. Your printer, your phone, your laptop, all of them are connected to the cloud through the internet. So if you look at India itself, I want to cover this because I want to pull out India has got a peculiar problem. First, we are a huge country. We are the biggest in the world. We have a government over the past 10, 12, 15 years, which has been running at the speed of Usain Bolt, trying to digitize India. You heard of Digital India, right? The dream of the government, the Prime Minister, is that every one of the 140 crore people have access to the internet. That's fantastic because over the internet, you can provide money, you can provide a whole lot of support, especially to poor people. But in the bargain, there is another India called India, which is running behind, maybe 1 or 2 miles behind, trying to catch up with digital India. Digital India, aage aage, piche piche, secure India. Therefore, what happens? There's a gap between digital and the secure India. One Bharat. It's trying to cover a large number of people who are below poverty line and elderly people into a free insurance scheme. You have Aadhaar. During COVID, we had another application. We have UPI. We have Beam. Everything is resting on the internet. Surprisingly, while we began a little late, today India does more transactions than Europe, plus China, plus United States of America. Isn't that incredible? So that's a big, just 2021. 2025, the gap has increased further. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can, okay. So in the daily life of an Indian today, gradually, the smart cities have come to play, right? Even your traffic signals in some cities are connected to the net. State governments, on an average, take a state government like Karnataka, where I belong, it has got 100 government applications connecting citizens to provide them services, to provide them water, to provide them traffic support, to provide them medical connection, to provide them water, to clear the sewage. Everything today gradually is coming onto the internet. So I just wanted to highlight the dependency. So if you look at the evolution of cyber threats and look to the right of the slide, it all began with a profit motive, right? So the person who was some smart fellow out of school figured out how to make profit. Then few of them got together and formed crime syndicates. Like you have underworld in Mumbai or Bangalore, and gradually an underworld came up. Then nations started fighting against each other. India fought China, India fought Pakistan, China fought Philippines, Ukraine fights Russia. All of those wars have now started appearing even in the cyber underworld, which you cannot see. So what is happening now today, if you are a smart cyber attacker and you are you have malicious intent, you are a bad person, you can potentially be hired even by countries to carry out attacks. So on the left side, I just wanted to highlight that the internet is not what you're seeing when you Google for a word. When you Google for a word like India or Indian cyber attack, what you get is only from the surface web, that white little piece of that iceberg that you can see. A large part of the web is called the deep web, which is not publicly known, but it has useful information. A lot of library documents, a lot of archives are all lying at places which are not publicly disclosed. But if you want to know, they will tell you and you can access it. But the bigger worry is the third layer at the bottom, which is called the dark web. This is about 6 to 8%. This is where no one can access except those 40 thieves of Alibaba. Yeah. So there is a method how you get in, and like thieves, there is honor among thieves. Honor is इज्जत. तो thieves के बीच में भी जो है इज्जत का है, brand है, credibility है. They sign MOUs with each other in very funny ways. There are blockchains operating there. So there is a whole underworld which is today operating in the dark web. And they are the ones who carry out much of these attacks. So this threat is real. And these numbers that I'm showing you on the slide are of India alone. Okay. Now think of somebody who on an average keeps about 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs in the savings account. Not one account. Some people have got 5 accounts. Okay? Or पांचों के password वही है. Same password. Okay? Somebody takes out about 100 rupees, you won't even notice. और जो बिजनेसमैन है वो तो देखता ही नहीं है क्योंकि दिन में इतना ट्रांजैक्शन होता है. So many transactions. And therefore, little by little, drip by drip, this number goes up to what you see here. It's in tens of thousands of crores, right? And the number is increasing every year. The second interesting thing is, large number of victims are senior citizens. Okay? Why? Because senior citizens come from a generation where they earn money and they didn't spend money. It's so funny. All their life they worked hard to make money and they put it in a FD, they put it in the bank, they put it in the mutual fund, right? And they're not familiar with technology. They're the ones who fall primarily, you notice the number 50%. Now, this is something I thought I'll show. This is the one which is the name, of course, has been changed, right? The standard one, somebody calls you up and very seriously tells you that that person is a CBI officer, right? Accuses you of money laundering. And remember, they collect their victims very carefully. It just does not happen. They've been tracking you for days on how you behave. Yeah. Then they connect you via WhatsApp. They show you some forged documents, connect you to a video call to a police station where there are 4 or 5 policemen, and then they tell you the next 4 hours you're going to be arrested, right? And then the human mind is such. Some of them psychologically are so weak that they fail to share this information with their family and friends. And then they end up sharing information, data, password, and eventually a lot of money. Yeah? There have been similar cases, right? And these are big guys. These are people who are running businesses. Lost a lot of money, retired professor. And I can tell you, some of them may be teaching cybersecurity in the college, which is funny. Okay? IT engineers, number of them, right? And I think it's primarily driven by humans' greed, right? Either greed for money or you are eager to please somebody, right? As doing what is being told. They're ordinary people. Their only mistake is trusting a phone call. There are many more, right? Someone sends you a message and he says, verify your identity immediately. And they would have found out what your bank account number is. You check it and you say, hi, this is correct. This guy seems to be okay. And then you have problems. Same with the famous one around your package being delayed. Everybody likes a little extra money. So when income tax department says a refund is pending, please click this link, complete it so that we can transfer the money. You will click it. Someone says your basic account, just your life depends on something, right? I know young people who order on Amazon 4 times a day. Virtually they live over. For them, if someone says account is locked, unka to 4 should get, right? They go and click that link. Then gift card, this is also common, yeah? So I'll talk of 4 other ones. One is voice cloning. This has now become very common. Because of AI, which is artificial intelligence, if you give a sample of your voice to someone, there is today a possibility to create that voice very close to 100%. Yeah. And after all, every day, all of us talk to our mother, father, sisters, brothers-in-law, right? Colleagues. And you tend to, your immediate instinct is to believe. Yeah. The second, and this is really dangerous, and this is where Airtel, Jio, Vodafone are now taken active steps to stop it, is where somebody makes a duplicate SIM of your number and starts receiving OTP. There are a lot of fake investment apps. In fact, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, SBI, all of them have, when you Google for it, there are links which will take you to wrong websites. It will have the SBI logo, it will have username, it will have password. But if you look very closely, there will be a problem. And most of all, in the URL, which is the link in the window, you'll find that it is not secure. How do you know it is not secure? Because there will not be a lock icon. It will not be HTTPS, right? So a lot of fake investment apps. The bigger challenge today is a lot of pensioners. Their pensions have become digital. And they are living on pension. So on the 29th, if a SMS comes saying your pension is held up, right? Please click on this link. They'll go click on that link. Yeah. Then something that you hear which is terrible, especially for very young people in their teens, adolescents in high school, right? Who come from families where the family members are not in touch. The father and mother don't know what their children are doing. In those families, you realize that people find out they are vulnerable and bring them into scams, which are task-based scams. Every little task they do, they get a little reward, and so on and so forth. And we had very unfortunate cases where even children have ended their lives, right? So this is a set of scams. So there are red flags that should make you suspicious. Asking for OTP password? No. Urgent threat of account blocking arrest? कौन सी जल्दी है? Let it wait. No. Unknown link asking to verify account? No. Bank sends you a monthly statement and tells you it is ready. Please go to the website and have a look. Okay. A video call is going on, stay on. No. Email from Indian Railway saying, here is your ticket, and you know you booked the ticket. Okay. Right? So broadly, some golden rules to stay safer. Never share OTP, passwords, or PIN with anyone. You will find in some of these cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, your security guards in the apartment, you won't believe it. Some of them have handed over their ATM cards to their mama or chacha, and right? They are such simple people. They live with a lot of difficulty, and then they share their passwords and PINs and OTP with anyone, right? So there is a need to educate people right from the time they are children on what is it that you can share or don't share. Like we tell children these days, what is a good touch, what is a bad touch, right? With strangers. Strangers giving you chocolates? No. So something similar, there are some golden rules that we need to follow. Suspicious calls, don't even attempt. Particularly if these calls come through applications, believe me, they will move into the other applications which are there on your phone, which are called side channel attacks, and then you will find you have a problem. And verify before you act. Just don't worry about the time factor. Nothing can happen. If there's a call coming from a number you don't know, don't attend the call. Jada jada kya karega? He'll send you a WhatsApp message. Read the mail. Then decide. Secure your phone, because we are so dependent now on the phone. And I'm not denigrating the fact that you have a phone, but enable screen lock. Takes a little more. It probably takes 7 seconds more. Enable two-factor on your email, especially. This is important. Review the app, your permissions that you give. Don't, like location information, don't give it to everybody, right? Photo, camera permission, don't give it to everybody. And even if you give it asks you questions. Because as per the Indian law today, which is called the Data Protection Data Privacy Act, permissions have to be taken. So it'll ask you, allow one time, allow always, allow when I contact you, pick up the right one. I only, as a matter of practice, I only give permission one. I mean, it depends on you, how much trust you have. Certainly don't click on SMS and WhatsApp. Very often what people do to remain safe, they copy that link which is there in WhatsApp or SMS and put it into an email. And that email arrives on your laptop. If you have been regularly protecting your laptop through, antivirus and so on, a laptop is a safer place to handle a link than a phone. Enable UPI transaction alerts. This is available. Ensure that you enable it so that when money goes out, whether it's 30 rupees or 40 rupees, you get to know. Use strong passwords. For people who are very busy and who have too many applications, too many bank accounts, there are people who use something called a password manager. I'll come to that later. Only download apps from official sites. For example, I'll give you an example. There are today apps, applications on the laptop where you can convert a PDF into a document into an Excel sheet into picture. Be sure you don't go click all of them, right? Because what you see on your Google screen are people who have paid money to appear on the first page. It is not necessary that the first link is the one which is most trusted. Keep your phone and applications updated. Once in a while, your phone does remind you that there's an update pending. Please keep it updated. Most updates are security updates. And something I want to share with you personally, now this is up to you entirely. I don't use a Chinese phone, okay? For two reasons. One, I don't trust it. And two, every time you buy a Chinese phone, part of that money is going to pay the soldier who's fighting the Indian in the, on the line of control. There's something very personal. It's up to you, but that's the way I look at it, right? So even if you have a robo cleaning device in your house, you can be sure that it's taking pictures of the house and your movements and sending it to the cloud. TRAI, which is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, has got an app for Do Not Disturb. Use that. Now coming to the laptop, use antivirus software, create passwords which are unique, enable automatic software updates. Don't save passwords here and right. Be very careful with it because you don't know at some point of time where you're left it. Take backups of all your data. This is important. Put it on a solid state drive for your laptop. Do it once a week, at least once a week. And some people I know do it more often. You have options to enable the firewall, enable it. Some people use a password manager. If they have more than, you have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 bank account, mutual funds, so many things. You can use a good password manager. Two of them are listed here. Be very cautious with email attachments. So when an email comes to you, you need to be sure that the email has come from somebody you know. If it's not from somebody you know, be cautious. Okay, that's all I can say. Because some of these email attachments, it will look like a PDF, but actually it will be an active program. Use secure Wi-Fi networks, avoid railway stations, avoid airports, right? Avoid public places. And this is something which I do as a matter of habit. I log out of accounts when it is done. I don't keep it open, right? Because what happens is, let's say you have 10 windows open on your laptop, right? The browser is supposed to ensure that each of your sessions are secure and they don't talk to each other. But I don't trust that. So what do? I log out of my account. So when I close my system, I have essentially logged out of all the accounts. As far as online banking and payments are concerned, check for HTTPS in your bank name in the link. This is very, very important. And you'll also find a padlock, small little, padlock, tala. Use official bank app, not the browser on the phone. Set transaction limits on your cards. Banks allow you to do that, so that in the worst case, you will not lose money more than the limit that you have set. Register for SMS alerts. I know it's a pain to get so many SMSs. Nobody likes it. But still register for SMS. Check your bank statement. There is a concept of a virtual credit card for online shopping, which is now coming in, right? And wherever there are banking applications on your phone, use biometric login, right? Certainly don't save card details here and there. Don't share your CVV, OTP, or expiry date. Don't click your links here and there. Don't use the same password for multiple accounts. Now, this is a big, big problem. Even I have this problem, right? So you need to figure out how you make out that password with a special character, alphabets and numbers. If you are in a railway station and you've got free Wi-Fi, I mean, worst case, you can go and read the news on ndtv.com, but please don't use it for banking. Yeah. Most of the emails today have very good spam control. They send emails to spam folder. Once in a while, please look at the spam folder as well. You will get a sense of the kind of people who are trying to reach you. And it is surprising that you and your wife are discussing about buying, let's say, a fridge. And next time you go on the internet, you suddenly find ads related to fridge appearing on your screen. How did that happen? Right? So all kinds of things are happening. The safest person is the one who actually doesn't trust anyone. They verify before they trust. Yeah. If you're targeted, please act fast. It's called the golden hour. They talk about it for strokes and all that you should get to a hospital in the first 1 hour where you can be completely treated and become okay. Same is the case here. Don't transfer any more money if you have lost already. Report, call 1930 or visit cybercrime.gov.in website. There's a place where you can fill in the details. Contact your bank. So this number, this 1800 number of your bank should be always available so that you call them, and you will notice when you call them, you'll get a voice response. The first response, one, is normally to report the loss of a card, because they know that you're in a hurry to report the loss of a card. As far as possible, save all messages, screenshots, call logs, and transaction details, because the bank may ask for evidence. And remember, a credit card is more safer than a debit card. Debit card is like cash. Once it's gone, it's gone. Some banks do refund the money, but they're not bound to refund the money, right? Unless it is proved that you did the right thing. Credit card, you're a lot safer. File an FIR. Almost every city now has cyber police stations. If you can go there, fine. But you can even go to a normal police station. Yeah. These are some very good resources. Save these numbers and websites, especially sancharsaathi.gov.in. Ek bar, definitely you must go there and have a look. There are a lot of good things there. It will tell you whether your phone, how many phones are there on this number. in the sense that somebody's taken another SIM, you'll get to know. You can report fraud calls. You can file your complaint, track your status, etc. I'll share this presentation with this group so you can use this data, right? Like for example, in Bangalore, there's an exclusive cybercrime station which is available. Yeah. So the Sanchar Sathi runs an application called Chakshu, yeah, where you can report fraud communication, right? You can block your handset. You can report any funny call which is coming, and you have the time, you can note down the number and report to Chakshu. Yeah. You can also check whether your handset is mobile is genuine. I can tell you there's a huge gray market. Gray market is the underground market. There is underground market for everything, for iPhone, for Android phones, everything. You can check whether your mobile handset is genuine. Yeah. So this is a good place to go, Sanchar Sathi. For those who want to know whether my passwords have already been leaked on the internet, you can go to this website. Okay. Don't get too worried, because in many cases, these malicious actors, they do what is called crawling the internet, and they download everything that is available. But the fact that they are not attacking you is because they have not got everything. But go to the website, it's interesting, and enter your email ID and see what it tells you about your email ID. Okay. And last of all, I mean, this is something that I want to spend some time on. Is there are three things in cybersecurity. First is process. Second is technology. Third is people. Over 70 to 80% of all cyber attacks, all cyber crimes, are not because of technology weakness. It is either because of process of people, and 9 out of 10, it is because of people. Right? I know people on the telephone asking, "Yeah, password batana," and then you tell the password. Now the problem is not that password. That password may be used to access some router or phone. But there's a human tendency to use the same password for the bank, for booking railway station tickets and air tickets, right? And with computing becoming so fast, and God forbid tomorrow when quantum computing comes, in matter of seconds, everything can be sucked out and figured out. Yeah. So don't trust. When in doubt, stop and verify, and talk to your family and friends about it. One of the good things that I'm seeing in schools, including government schools, is that basic cyber hygiene is being taught in primary schools. I don't know if any of you here in the group is a primary school teacher, but I understand that cyber is now included as a subject, not as a technical subject, but as a must-know subject. It's like physical security, right? So stay alert, stay safe, stay cyber secure. Yeah. And I know we have about maybe 10 minutes. I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing so many valuable tips. If anyone has a question, they can either raise the hand or type it in the chat. So meanwhile, anyone writes question. I had one question, sir.
Tell me.
So I've noticed a lot of times when we have a conversation with our friends or with our colleagues, uh, the recommendation that comes in my mobile are almost like it has heard that. I haven't searched the product or something on the mobile.
Yeah.
So what are the tips that we can avoid that mobile is not listening to us while we are having these kind of conversations?
Yeah. See, if I were to have a private conversation with somebody, right? So when you go on WhatsApp assures you that end to end there is encryption, right? And for a moment, let us believe that, okay? Because WhatsApp is from Meta, Facebook, Their credibility is at stake, so it is fine. But you know what is the bigger problem? Bigger problem today is that the weakest link in the chain is the vulnerability, right? So I'll give you an example, right? Uh, if you have started a business, and you are 5 of you, right? And you talk on conference calls, let's say 4 or 5 times a day. Even if one of you is careless, it's like all of you being careless. And that carelessness comes from sharing in the apps. To my mind, I have I think about 10 or 12 apps on my phone. But I know people who have something like 100 apps on their phone. They don't need it, but they do it. And when they download that app, they don't even check whether that app carries that credibility, the number of stars, how many million people have downloaded it. If only 100 people have downloaded, I'll never download that app. Okay? So, your circle within which you work or live, the weakest person in that group is going to decide the weakness of your whole group, right? That is one. Two is some of these cyber attacks are not direct attacks, right? Which means this malicious software in a vulnerable handset. Vulnerable, I mean somebody who's very careless. Every time that person switches on the phone, in the runtime memory of that phone, runtime is the active memory, not the hard disk. Okay, runtime. That means it's live, it's dynamic. This little fellow, bad program, is sitting there communicating with other apps which are alive. So when you switch on your phone and you think you're using only WhatsApp, you're grossly wrong. There are all other apps which are live and occupying a part of memory. It is not active. When you go click on Twitter, for example, at that point of time, it wakes up. And when it wakes up, it pulls many more items from the library into the main memory, right? And if there is a bad guy sitting there, bad piece of software sitting there, it is monitoring all of this. Okay? And that is why all this is happening, what you're saying, right? So one of the things, if you go to an app, I don't know if you have seen, when you do a right click, it will tell you uninstall, it will tell you enable, disable, and it will tell you something more, I forget. Okay?
So I think it is force stop. Force stop.
Force stop. Nothing stops you from force stop. कुछ नहीं होता. You will get a message saying it will misbehave and all that. Don't worry. Okay? But you don't have to force stop. Force stop you can do if you're really worried. But you can disable it. What happens in disabling is that app thereafter is no longer active at that point of time till the next time you go touch that app. Then it becomes enabled by itself, right? So there are ways to do it, but fundamentally just be watchful of what is happening. Don't download an app which you never use. To download an app, it takes something like, I think, 3 minutes. And in some of these apps, you probably have to give your credentials again, username, password, which is okay. It'll take another 2 minutes. And then use it. But remove apps which you know you will never use, right? And in many phones, especially in Android, I know because I use Android, it will tell you which are the apps not been in use for some time. Nikal do, why do you need it, right? Unless you're very proud that you have 100 apps on your phone. Okay? So that's the answer to your question.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions in the chat, but Jairat, sir, you can first ask the question. Can unmute, please?
Yeah, I mean, would you like to take on that? I think they type first, so you can take them on first.
Okay, sir. Well, so the question is, what is the best place to save passwords apart from a password manager?
I won't tell you that. No, so listen, the most common one I've seen is a notebook. Okay. Uh, the next common one is a Word document. Okay. The third common one is in an email which is lying in some folder which you know. And I also know people who save passwords and encrypt that file. You can encrypt a file. Yeah. So you have the passwords and there are encryption tools by which you can encrypt it. Okay. And then when you want to use it, decrypt it, read it, encrypt it, and put it back again. Okay. Be sure that you don't lose the key. If you lose the key, it's gone. Okay. Otherwise, you can use a password manager. You can go look for it, Google for it, right? There's something called one password or password one or something like that. That's the most popular one. Yeah. In which you have a master password, a secondary master password. That's it. It takes care of all of this. Yeah. And the good thing is, in some of the good applications, after you log in and start using it, some of them, while you're using it, will again ask for a password during the session. Yeah. So there is growing awareness among uh, product makers that this is a big issue. Yeah. So that's all I can say.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, as India goes more digital, as good it can be for the future, are we truly secure? If there's a major cyber attack, could critical national data be wiped out, and how do we prevent it for our country?
Okay. So this question is not as an individual. You're thinking about the country, right? So what normally happens in every country which is on the internet. So the domain name for India is the national domain is ends in .in. .in means India. Okay. Now this is controlled by an authority in the ministry or the regulator. Uh, every country has got something called a CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team. Okay. And this team works 24/7, 365 in three shifts. These are government employees. In our case, they work out of Delhi. And they are busy handling cyber attacks day in and day out, right? Somewhere about 10 years back, 12 years back, countries which are more advanced digitally, a country like Estonia, for example, or Australia, they figured out that, you have only limited capacity to respond. I mean, I'll give you an example. If you are in a dark street and 10 gundas come at you, you got to figure out kiske saath ladai karna. You can't take all of them at once. So you need to prioritize. So what governments have started doing now is they define something called critical infrastructure. Okay. There's something called national critical infrastructure. So India has got a national critical infrastructure protection center, which is like CERT. So all the normal stuff is done by CERT, but anything related to banking, telecom, transportation. By transportation, I mean Indian Railways, metros, oil and gas, government, health. These are handled by National Critical Information Protection Center, where they are again 24/7. They are specialists. They ensure that they are safe. This is the first layer. The second layer that is that every ministry and department, at least in Delhi and in many state governments, also have cyber experts inside the ministry and department who are worried about their own little thing. Yeah. One of the most important infrastructure that we have today is the power grid. And by the way, we are now nationally linked in power grids. So if there's a major outage in the Tamil Nadu grid, okay, within a certain time, you will get power from some other grid, maybe from Mumbai. Okay. So power is actually the biggest worry for someone who's the national security head for India. If you ask him what is worrying you at night, his biggest worry are two things. One is telecom, and second is power, right? So they have their own people who secure those. So gradually what is happening now is that multi-layered defense is being built for critical infrastructure. Now, if a schoolboy has lost a password, it's not as big a worry, right? The police will tell you, come tomorrow morning to a police station and file a complaint. देखते हैं क्या होता है, ठीक है? But when it comes to a power or oil and gas, Indian Railways, Bangalore Metro, Delhi Metro, 3 years back, you know that all the Institute of Medical Sciences was attacked. And what was the worry? Worry was not the attack. Worry was most of the VVIPs in Delhi are treated at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Now, I certainly wouldn't like my minister's health data going to an enemy. And on a lighter note, I've also heard that the Russian president, when he travels, his poop is carried back to his home country when he goes. Okay, so people go to a lot of extent to secure critical infrastructure. We are in very good hands. Okay, so don't get me wrong. We are in very good hands. The problem is the speed at which India is digitizing. We need the security also happening at the same speed. That is a challenge. And given that we got possibly one of the largest talent pool in the world, the largest or the second largest in the world, right? That's a big, big plus. So don't be lazy, don't take it easy, but at the same time, don't be too alarmed.
So we have two more questions in the chat. Is it possible to extend the session by 10 minutes?
I'm okay.
Okay, sir, I'll read the question. Good evening, sir. Really grateful for this opportunity to attend this much insightful session. My question is how to understand if a link shared in a text message or an email is a genuine link or a malicious one.
Yeah, so one is, what is a link after all? A link is a set of alphanumeric characters, right? So I expect someone who asks this question to have a secure laptop or a computer, right? Or at least a friend who's got a secure laptop or a computer, right? In that, if you copy paste this link, it should indicate that it's a secure link. How do you know it is a secure link? It will be an HTTP session, but secure session. So it will have S to it. Yeah, you are safe. There's no problem, right? But that is only step one. I mean, nothing stops even a bad actor to have a secure website. Okay. Then you go to the website itself. You need to use your judgment and assessment to understand whether it is true or it is not true, right? So I have not covered it in this session, but there are sources where you can put in a link and it will tell you whether it's a safe link or a bad link. Yeah, let me see if I can get one. You can insert it, copy paste, and it will come back to you and tell you it is insecure. Yeah. Sometimes you should differentiate between insecure and bad. Bad is the one where they're trying to do tricks and do bad things. Insecure can be people who are not doing the right thing. I have seen government websites appearing as malicious websites. And then I ring up that fellow and say, yaar, ye acha nahi lagta hai. Tum sarkar ke ho. And they are reporting that your own website is not secure, not good. Yeah. So that is more because of poor discipline, operational discipline of the IT manager of that of that company or government ministry or team. Yeah.
Another question is, sir, in Facebook, I get friend recommendations from people in my contacts. How can I stop Facebook accessing my contacts in phone?
You have an option to disable that. Okay. Find that out. And today, if you use, either you can search for it, or if you use ChatGPT or Claude or something, it will tell you how you can ensure that Facebook does not access your contacts. There'll be a configuration uh, link in Facebook page of yours. You can go there and close all that. Yeah. But remember, the default is if you don't do anything, right, you can believe that everything out of your computer or laptop is going out. Now, there are some countries, especially in Europe. Europe is an extremely security conscious continent. In fact, I would rate them higher than everybody else, which is one of the reasons why our Data Privacy Act is actually modeled along GDPR. They go to extreme uh, uh, conditions to ensure that you have to give permission at every stage before you share information. And that see this the two things that when the first human being Adam and Eve were made, from that time there are two temptations which all humans have. One is greed. Okay, greed includes hunger, and the second is FOMO. You know what is FOMO? Fear of missing out, right?
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. You want to tell your friends you went for this party, you wore this dress, or you took a photo with Shashi Tharoor, right? So, so you have to be very careful that before you say yes to a friend request or when you share something. I know people who do a good thing these days. That means before they share the photograph, they remove anything in that photograph, they mask it, which indicates the location or somebody else's face or something. Yeah.
Jairaj, sir, you may unmute and please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, I just got a quick question since we have already exceeded the time. So it's a personal thing. This month of February, early part, I started receiving some emails in my email box, which are from this companies like Shiprocket, which they are basically courier companies. Then there's one, I don't know how to pronounce it. It is SADAWAY, Sadaway or something like that. Sadaway. And then Indus Valley. So these three companies, I think they must be courier companies. So they've been telling me that, we've sent something for you. So there's been no attachment in the email to open, fortunately, but they have sent me some links. It says, view your order. Indus Valley, your order is on the way. View your order. So fortunately, of course, I haven't clicked any of the links, but after a couple of, it used to come very one after the other. Every day it used to come, and then I think in the Shiprocket one, I found that the order was something to do with some health products, and interestingly. The name of the person who's ordered it is also Jairaj, and and the address is also given. He's from an engineering college in Coimbatore. So, and the telephone number is also given, but I did not dare to, ring up on that telephone number and ask him, why are you giving my email address? You are Jairaj, all right, but then, so I don't know, has my email, because how come he's got used, I mean, the Shiprocket has got my email address, and then he's sending, maybe it's a genuine order from that Jairaj in Coimbatore. But how is he using my email address? And I haven't, of course, called him up on the phone. This whoever Jairaj it is, presuming that it is genuine. And in other cases, of course, there are no details of the order. So I have not clicked any of the links to say either track your order or view your order, etc., etc. And in fact, in some of the cases, I even found that the order has been supplied, the item has been delivered, and then after that, and now these days I'm not getting anything. It is automatically stopped. So I think. So what do you think about it, sir? Should I? Uh,
Yeah. So see, what happens is today the spam filter in most of these email that you commonly use, they're very good, right? And now with AI having come, they actually do a great job of filtering, right? So one of the things you need to do is that when you receive a mail like that, and it kind of appears genuine as well, you can actually pick up that one and go do some research yourself on the web, right, of the history of that site, right? Or if you're a member of reddit.com, which is a great platform to be actually. Yeah. So that's a place where a lot of interesting conversations happen. You will get to know whether it's genuine or it's not genuine. Yeah.
Okay.
But ideally, it should have gone to the spam folder. I also received many of them, and when I'm very sure, I actually say call it spam. Thereafter, it will never come into my main folder at all, right? So I think this is something that you need to deal with. The second point, what I want to make is that anyone who's been digital before, let's say 2015, yeah, you can be sure that all your email IDs and numbers are already there in the data. Okay, because there is no consciousness, right? I mean, you walk into a store and he says, "I'll give you support for support, technical support. I need the number." You go to a shop, you buy a dress, and he says, "अगर इसको वापस करना है तो आपका नंबर चाहिए ना, इसलिए नंबर दे दो." So a lot of people share numbers. Right? Now all of these are getting. You can be 100% sure that these numbers and emails and all are being shared at very low cost. I think 50 paisa per email or 25 paisa per email or something, 10 paisa per email. It's all out there. What is not there is the connection between the username, the password, the Aadhaar card, the other entity. Yeah. So I guess you will have to learn to live with it, but use your spam filter wherever you can. Yeah. And what happens if it gets spam? I mean, you're not likely to get $1 million, which is actually due to you through spam, right? There'll be many other ways. Someone will send you a message. They'll prepare you for it, right? So so you have to check the genuineness of the website as well as genuineness of the sender, both. Yeah. Uh, but I think Google is doing a great job. Outlook is doing a fairly good job, right? I don't use Hotmail, but I know about these two certainly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing so many valuable tips and also extending the time to answer our questions. I was particularly shocked to see the statistics like 20,000 crore were lost to these scams by Indians alone. And every Indian is succumbs to such a scam in every 3 minutes. So thank you so much for helping us prepare to stay secure in the digital landscape. And thank you everyone for joining this session on behalf of MYC. Any last comments for sir? Anyone would like to share? You can please unmute and yeah.
Monish, may I
I have,
ask a question?
yeah, go ahead, please.
If I may, my question is about artificial intelligence. Is there anything available that will help us as vulnerable users of digital systems in the works? I mean, we are so vulnerable because we really don't know how to cope with the pace of the threats that are becoming dominant in our lives. It often people just get ripped off, and then we just don't know enough to keep ourselves safe. Any way for us to?
Yeah, one is I think it's time to get ourselves a mentor or a friend or somebody and someone who is staying tuned to what is happening by the day. So what used to happen in years earlier is now started happening in hours and days. Okay, every day some of the stuff that I get to know is new. So If you are a digital native, which means you live in the digital world for a lot of things, you write articles, you speak, and so on and so forth, find yourself someone who you can go to for any kind of advice. You'll need a lot of it in the coming days. So you have AI getting into defense and AI getting into offense. So there are so this cat and mouse game has been going on ages, but today's cat and mouse game is happening in microseconds. So it's a very interesting area. It is the fastest growing area, and thankfully, it is not something which is totally high tech, right? So I have one or two people I keep talking to regularly, and they tell me things which surprises me every other day, right? To stay safe, yeah. And my own sense is that those of you who are in key roles, right, you are more vulnerable than ordinary mortals like me, yeah. Because there's only so much bad things that a guy can do, right? They also have a capacity problem. The thief has got a capacity problem. He can only break into so many houses, right? But one carry home is that get yourself a friend or a mentor who can actually tell you, because you'll now need somebody telling you what's happening around. It's so difficult to imagine as we speak right now. I think it's early morning in Washington, D.C. There's a fight going on between Anthropic and Department of War. It used to be called Department of Defense, now it's the Department of War. And it's going to fundamentally alter some principles of life, right? One principle is do no evil, right? We grew up, we live in a world where that's the right thing to do no evil, right? And if evil is built into a product, is there a small little button which I can say, do no evil, right? That discussion is going on. Follow this news between Anthropic and Department of War. As soon as you get off the call, by midday, which is around midnight our time, you know what is happening. There's a deadline that was given to the company. Yeah. But I agree with you that these are, while these are interesting times, you need to stay tuned to what is happening.
Anyone has any other questions? So thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for joining this session. So for March, MYC will be bringing some public speaking workshops and sessions related to tsunami awareness. So please stay tuned and we'll let you know the dates shortly. Thank you so much.